This is One TV live from Athens. You're watching News at 5. I'm Yanni Moutsios. Here are the top stories. NATO concerned Russia trying to stage pretext for Ukraine attack. Selling is a big provocation, says Ukraine president. Kremlin accuses Kiev of terrible provocations and accused Ukrainian forces of firing first. Russia expels US deputy ambassador from Moscow. Greece calls Turkey to drop 19th century tactics and apply modern means of resolving issues on the Aegean. Greek Minister of Affairs talks back to Turkish ambassador provocations on CASUS BELLI. Coronavirus restrictions one step closer to total removal. Customers will enjoy drinks and meals as COVID-19 anti-contamination precautions ease starting Saturday 19th. Greece launches official protest to Turkish challenges on the sovereignty of the Aegean Islands. Multiple incidents of selling in eastern Ukraine were reported earlier on Thursday morning by the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. Ukrainian government sources say the selling from rebel territory is not typical and looks like provocation. Ukrainian officials have released pictures of a kindergarten they say was damaged by the selling, while the Kremlin has accused Ukraine of firing first. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has said that NATO has to respond when we see aggressive actions by Russia, while urging Moscow to enter a dialogue with the West. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg expressed fears of an escalation in the area, saying that the alliance is concerned that Russia is trying to stage a pretext for an armed attack against Ukraine. Despite the assurances given by Russia on its armed forces pullback yesterday, the West remains skeptical about the validity of both the claims as well as the footage shown on Russian state TV of tanks and artillery loaded on trains on their way back to their bases. Jens Stoltenberg has repeated that the alliance has seen no sizable withdrawal so far from Russia and called on Russia to do what it says and withdraw its forces from the borders of Ukraine. A day after the celebration of the Unity Day in the capital of Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed his country's intention not to give up its right to join NATO, whilst he defended Ukraine's independence and the right to decide on their future. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba has said the village of Stanitsia Luhanska has been shelled with heavy weapons and called on other countries to condemn the attack. Ukraine's president had spoken to the European Council President Charles Michel about what he called provocative sellings. The Union's 27 leaders were meeting for a long-planned summit with 40 African heads of state and government to discuss bilateral relations. However, the recent developments in the area of Donbass called for an emergency meeting of EU leaders on Ukraine. According to sources from the field, 3 people were injured in the selling of a kindergarten in the Donbass region. Coming up next, Greece issues a diplomatic protest to Turkey for repeatedly challenging the sovereignty of the Aegean Islands. Greek Foreign Minister Nikos Dendias heavily criticized Turkey for disputing the legal right of the Greek islands to have a continental shelf and an exclusive economic zone, and denying the validity of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea in a lecture at the Norwegian Institute of International Affairs in Oslo on Wednesday. Attending Turkish ambassador to Norway, he quickly responded that all of these actions are in response to something you have been doing. Nikos Dendias explained that Turkey has been threatening Greece with war since 1995, the so-called CASUS BELLI, in the event Athens exercises its legal right to extend its territorial waters to 12 nautical miles. Turkish envoy Fazli Korman responded that the Turkish-Libyan agreement was also a consequence of something that you also know very well, and the CASUS BELLI declaration by the Turkish Grand National Assembly was also a consequence that Greece was telling that they will go ahead unilaterally declaring the continental waters at 12 miles. Then they clarified that Turkey has subscribed to the United Nations Charter, which totally prohibits the use of force and the threat of the use of force, which contradicts the CASUS BELLI threat as a deterrent. Now let's take a look at the event in the Norwegian Institute of Foreign Affairs last night, where the Turkish minister referred to the use of CASUS BELLI as a consequence of what Greece has done. Here is what happened.
Turkish-Libyan agreement was also a consequence of something that you also know very well. And the CASUS BELLI declaration by the Turkish Grand National Assembly was also a consequence that Greece was telling that they will go ahead unilaterally declaring the continental waters as 12 miles.
You said that it's legitimate for Turkey to issue a casus belli against us, a threat of war. If well, being a diplomat, I take it that interrupting is not within your rules of conduct. Isn't the casus belli exactly what is prohibited by the United Nations Charter? Does the United Nations Charter condition this prohibition upon your interpretation of what Greece said it would do, according to what? To an international convention which 168 parties have subscribed to, with the proud exception of Turkey? If Turkey stays in the 19th century, if Turkey stays in the way that Suleiman the Magnificent was conducting affairs, by having the armadas around the Mediterranean, then this is a no-go.
Coming up next, nightlife and dining back to normal starting this Saturday. Government eases restrictions on COVID-19 anti-contamination policy. Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Greece proceed with a démarqué towards Turkey following comments by Turkish officials who questioned the country's sovereignty over its eastern Aegean islands. According to diplomatic sources, Athens expressed its strong dissatisfaction as well as its protest against those comments, which of course Greece dismisses as illegal and groundless. Greek Ministry of Affairs emphasized that these statements are not just counterproductive, but constitute an escalation of Turkish provocative behavior. Special reference was made in the démarqué to Turkish threat to go to war with Greece in 1995, in the event Athens exercises its lawful right to extend its territorial waters to 12 nautical miles, as well as the illegal Turkey-Libya memorandum on maritime zones and the Blue Homeland rhetoric. Foreign Ministry also instructed the Greek embassies in the European Union, Nato and the members of the United Nations Security Council to brief the leaders of the respectful organizations on the escalation of Turkish activities. Greek government spokesman Yannis Economou in the daily press briefing said that the possibility of postponing the Greek-Turkish meeting on the confidence-building measures on February 22nd remains open. Customers in restaurants and clubs will be able to enjoy a night out free from the strict restrictions of COVID-19 starting on Saturday 19. Following experts' committee's suggestions, restrictions applied in dining and football courts will be relaxed, leading the path to a complete relaxation in Easter. Capacity on football courts will be increased by 40%, reaching half of the full capacity, whereas school trips will be allowed once again. Standing customers will be allowed in bars and restaurants. However, carnival festivities throughout the country have been prohibited due to fears of COVID-19 contamination. Conferences will run in full capacity for those vaccinated. However, those not fully vaccinated will be able to remotely attend. That's all from us for now. Next news update in Greek at 6 o'clock. Goodbye for now.